when you're an artist, you're always, especially a performer, you're trying to keep a channel open, you know, to your spiritual life. You're trying to pay attention to detail. You're trying to make sort of astute, humane observations about things. I was very afraid to see the backlash against artists expressing themselves eloquently, because isn't that the standard thing, that the artists and the intellectuals are the first ones to cry the alarm of fascism and injustice and, you know, huge military mistakes? I mean, aren't they, not from a kind of a la-la daisy chain perspective, but from, you know, the real deep and eloquent parts of their awareness? Aren't they the first ones to come forward, the harbingers of the kind of dialogue that keeps civilization strong? So, you know, I can see why the backlash happened, because a lot of these artists were saying really smart things, and some of them did stuff that had a lot of bravado and looked, that could be captured as sort of looking ridiculous. But, I mean, I think the reason that there was so much backlash against these artists is that they were funny and eloquent and right, and they had good points, and that was the only way to shut them up, is to say, oh, those silly artists. But Nazi Germany, who were the first to leave? Who were the first wave to pick up on the vibe and get out of there? The artists and the intellectuals. That needs to be a central part of your civilization. For the government to be so disdainful is a very dangerous sign, I think. If an artist wants to speak out and feels like they have formulated something that they want to say, and there's the camera rolling and there's the limelight, and that's what they want to talk about, absolutely, that's part of their perspective.
I mean, I think that's what art is expression. So, you know, people are going to express political views, they're going to express emotional views. I mean, you know, it's kind of like the nature of art. So it only makes sense that artists would express how they feel about politics as well.
Yeah. And plus in America, it's pretty easy to talk about how pissed off you are when it comes to our politics, because of the way the situation is.
I think it's a job of artists to speak out. It's a job of artists to be vilified, because people in society are a lot more afraid of it than artists tend to be. So we've been told we were fags, queers, commies, pinkos. I don't know anything else you can think of, and I think it's the role of artists to be out there and doing it. I wish that there would be a more aggressive stance sooner from a lot of artists, but you know, that's what happens. Better later than never, I guess.
I mean, Dixie Chicks sold a bunch of records for doing that. By the time you censor a record, it sells more. I think it's wrong to halt anybody from speaking against anything that the government's doing. If they don't like it, you should be able to say it. That's what democracy is. As far as we go, we've only had people praise us for having political aspects in our band.
I think it's as an artist, it's your responsibility, whether you're a painter or a sculptor or a musician or whatever. It's your responsibility to speak out about whatever's important to you in your life, and politics are kind of hard to avoid nowadays, you know. So as an artist, you know, when people get upset that you're speaking out, that's just sad. It's just cutting you off at the feet, you know.
So you think it's the role of the artist to speak out, I assume?
Well, not necessarily the role, I'd say. It's just like, I think that if an artist does have something to say, you know, they should be saying it. You know,
we know a couple of bands that they don't know anything about. You know, I don't like calling it politics, because it's actually just life, but they don't know about that side of you know, the war or the administration, anything. They don't know what they're talking about, and they throw their hat in just because they think it's the cool thing to do, is to like bash Bush.
Yeah.
And I think when you bash this administration for fun, you're cheapening it, and
Yeah.
there's a lot to be said. So I mean, it's not your role to speak out about politics unless you care about it.
Well, freedom of speech is one of the, you know, fundamentals that our country is based on, and I think if people are not allowed to say what they think, and you know, the right-wing branch of the government is going to lambaste them for speaking out, it's not really cool, you know. It seems rather totalitarian to me.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for anybody else. I mean, we definitely, part of why we write songs, is to vent our frustrations about our lives or our government or all those kinds of things. So it's just part of why we do it. So it's never really in question.
We're a less political band, I feel, than those bands. But I have no problem with them doing that because that's their opinion, that's their right, you know. The Dixie Chicks, they weren't going off like you're talking about. They weren't talking for a long time. All they said is like
they made a
couple comments, and they happened to be, you know, against George W. Bush, and it blew up into this huge thing where they were being boycotted by all the stations, and that's stupid.
I'm not at liberty to talk about my political.
Yeah. As a musician, I don't think I should. Well, you know, it's that one. You know, certain musicians feel the right. You know, that they should be political. And I don't know if our band falls in that category.
We're not really in that category as far as expressing our political beliefs as much.
I mean, we have them, but we don't. We don't push them in the music.
I think it's in taste, and it's whether or not it's gonna make you look like a certain. You know, because you want to please everyone if you're going to have an endeavor, you know, as an artist, you know, in the political side, it's kind of got to be cut and dry, and it can't, you don't want to like move, you don't want to be a mover and shaker as an artist, you know. I think that's for the politicians, you know. But if you have the power, like Bono or Mellencamp or something, if you have that kind of power, it's a different story. For us small fishes, it's like, it doesn't apply as much, you know.
You know, I've got motherfuckers like you pointing their finger at me saying, what about your responsibility as a musician to, you know, promote like positive messages and with a positive political message and whatnot. But I'm just here for like 2 minutes in your life. You're here every day. You are the guys with the big responsibility. You know, maybe a lot of people will look to us and our opinions of what to do, but only in a hot topic kind of way. Do you know what I mean? And so if we can maybe inspire 2 or 3 people to seriously get in there and make a difference, then I think we've done our own job.
I think it shouldn't be so much as to sway those that are already using their minds. It's more, the message like Ministry has now is more of outrage, whereas I think probably I would like to not see it in this desperate of times, and that the message would simply be go out and do your part, you know, learn a few facts and make it, you know, cast your vote and you know, do it for yourself as well as for everybody else.
The agenda mainly is to register voters, which we did up until the voter registration deadlines. In most states, we registered about 10,000 voters and handed out a lot of educational type pamphlets on how to register for kids that didn't register that night, and also let our feelings on the current administration be known.
I think the Dixie Chicks and Native Veterans did a great thing. Like they rock music and music in general is about speaking. It's like expressing yourself and like, you know, expressing yourself to millions of people. And I think that's all they did. And they got caught as treasonous because the whole, like, at that time everyone was so patriotic with the 9/11 thing, so just for the war, for our president, want to support our country and support our troops.
Well, I personally feel that, you know, if it's something that you hold dear to, anything that you know, crosses your mindset as far as if something's wrong or right, you're going to comment on it, you know. So it definitely becomes a responsibility if you're paying attention, you know.
What do you think about artists being attacked and vilified for speaking out?
It's, you know, power hungry, insecure, moronic fucking mongers who have nothing, you know, who are just worried for their own self-interests. And, you know, I think if they don't like what people have to say, they should just fucking not listen, turn away.